What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Couple on Fire podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the 4 ways to revive your marriage alone. And when is that coming up?
Right now.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to today's show. It's funny. When our little intro's playing, we try to get as many words into each other as possible before it stops. It's kind of funny. It's actually hilarious. We need to record ourselves doing that sometimes.
We do. Bloopers. How many times do I have to say it?
I mean, apparently not enough. Maybe more times. Maybe that's not enough times. I am one of your hosts, Josh. I'm here with the always beautiful, intelligent, wonderful, driven, great smiles, beautiful eyes, Miss Kristy. How are you, love?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
What's on your mind today, lady? Anything fun?
Not much.
Anything interesting?
No.
No, whole lot of nothing. Let's just get at it.
We're both sick.
We're both under the weather. Yeah.
So
we're both not feeling 100%.
We got the eyes are burning.
The eyes are burning. It's going around right now. We checked ourselves for COVID. We don't have it, though.
Oh, my Lord.
But we do have some type of flu that's going around, I think.
What did we do this past weekend, though?
I don't remember.
That's pretty bad. We're not really present then.
You said we. You pointed a finger right at me.
Because neither one of us remember. So we have to really be present.
Okay, tell me what's up.
We babysat our grand.
Oh, we did. Benny. Yeah, we got to spend some time with Benny this weekend.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was Saturday.
That was super fun.
That was fun. He was really, really good until his mom, about 10 minutes before his mom showed up. And I think that's pretty typical.
That's why we're sick. I bet you it's from him.
Him? He gave it to us? Benny, we're blaming him. He's like a year and a half old.
That little baby.
Little baby is making us sick. All right, so today we really want to talk about a topic that we hear a lot about, but we've never really had an opportunity to talk about, right? We've always talked about different ways that you can work on your marriage together, but today we really want to talk about 4 ways to really revive your marriage alone, right, by yourself. There's many, many, many times.
Because who needs someone else when you're married?
Right. I mean, well, let's be honest.
Oh, I'm kidding.
If your marriage is struggling, usually one person is trying really, really hard and the other person is not. And then it gets really frustrating and then neither one of you try. So,
yeah, that's true.
There is ways, there's things that you can do. And I think it's important that, number one is before we even dive into it, it's about taking responsibility for your side, right? And so that's pretty much what this whole show is going to be about. It's about taking responsibility and things that you can do yourself, right? And it's all about impacting and influencing your marriage from your perspective because let's be 100% honest. You cannot change your spouse. You can't do it. You can't.
No matter how hard you try.
No matter how hard you try. Even if you pray a lot about it, change them, Lord, doesn't work. That's not how that works, right? I heard something one time. I don't know if it was from a movie or something.
It was probably me.
It was probably from my wife. She said to me one time, she's like, I don't remember now. You stole my thunder. You stole my thunder. And the dog's bumping into my legs. You stole my thunder. Man, that's a mystery, right? That's a cliffhanger that nobody gets because Kristy is interrupting me. Kristy is interrupting me today.
I won't anymore.
Said something about praying for, not to pray for your spouse particularly to change, but you should change the way that you view your spouse. I remembered it. What is that for?
You just made me start laughing because you forgot.
You look like you've been doing drugs. Your eyes are all red from being sick. You're like, yeah, I'm ready to do podcasts today. All right, so 4 ways to revive your marriage alone. Number one, open and honest communication.
So I think it's perfect that you chose this to be the number 1 point because I didn't even know what the points were, right?
Really?
And I did a few minutes ago, but
you did.
Because this was a last minute change. We were supposed to have an interview today. Yeah. And they unfortunately had to cancel last minute. We need to reschedule with them. So Josh had to throw this together on the fly, to come up with points and all this stuff. So I didn't know what they were until recently. But before I even knew what the points were, I had just had you listen to that story.
Yeah, from the Brene Brown book.
From Brene Brown about, open and honest communication in marriage. And I think it's important. So the verse for this one is, therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. Mm-hmm. And that's Ephesians 4:25. Yeah. So being transparent and communicating with your spouse, honestly, is super important in the marriage. And I think it's okay for you guys to set boundaries on what's okay and what's not okay when maybe emotions are high. So like if you both sit down and say, okay, I'm frustrated. So what's okay is us being frustrated about it. That's a normal emotion, but we're not going to roll our eyes at each other or fold our arms.
What if your spouse is though? Like, what do you do in the situation when your spouse is not wanting to accommodate?
You're not going to.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So you
as an individual are not going to do that.
And you could go to that person and say, the story I'm telling myself right now in my head is this, and this.
Yeah.
About this situation.
Yeah.
To get them to open up about it too.
Or just to be clear, you're like, hey, I'm just being open and honest about it. Whether you're going to receive it or not is up to you, but I am doing my part.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's say you were on your phone all the time when I came home from work. And you just kept your nose in your phone and I'm talking to you and you weren't like looking up. You're saying, maybe this has been going on for a long time. And then I started getting frustrated. So then I just wouldn't even try and I just get on my phone. Mm-hmm. Instead of that, coming home and really like getting your attention and saying, listen, the story I'm telling myself is I come home from work. You're not getting off of your phone. You've fallen out of love with me. You don't want to be with me anymore. Right. I'm fat now. I used to be thinny and now I'm thin. Now I'm fat. And you don't want to sleep with me anymore. And you're on your phone all the time because you're looking at porn.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that would get your spouse's attention.
It probably would.
Hopefully.
Or he'd be like, you're just being you. Because he continues to
then you punch the person in the face.
Directly in the face. And that solves all the problems. I think it is important, though, that whether you feel like your spouse is responding to you or not, the important part is that you are being open and honest in your communication. And I understand how hard it can be because I think even in our own relationship, we go through ebbs and flows where we feel like we're speaking at each other, but it doesn't, deduct from the point that we are supposed to still be open and honest. And I know how hard that can be. Like, this is a specific way that I'm feeling right now. And I feel like I've told you 711 times. I need to tell you 712 then. And we actually end up talking through that as those things are going eventually. Like, we always kind of come back to this whole realization, like, no, but it's important that you do tell me, I may not be receiving it the way that, your expectation is at the time, or I'm not reacting, in the way that we would expect, but it doesn't mean that we should stop doing it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
And it reminds me of that one movie, isn't it called The Love Dare or something like that?
Yeah, is that a Christian movie? Is that the one you're talking about, the book?
Yeah, the dad.
No, it's not. I think it's called Fireproof.
Fireproof. That's it.
Yeah, but The Love Dare is the book.
The book, yeah.
That they use inside the movie.
Yeah.
That's actually really powerful.
Fireproof though is a good. It has that. Isn't his name Cameron something?
Yeah, Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
I'm putting all pieces together.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like volleyball. She's just setting them to me. I'm just spiking it in.
I literally am like a ping pong ball, like boo, 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 boo. And he has to take me and be like, make the box smaller and smaller and smaller until at least it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. That is a great movie though, and that is a really good point because that's exactly what it is. Because the one spouse is doing nothing. They're not
doing nothing because she's
given up. She's given in. She's like, I'm done. Like, I've had enough. And open and honest is what it takes. It is. And at least in that position, you can feel like you have good character and integrity within your relationship, that you're doing everything you can do. Because it is easy to give up when you feel like you're not getting anything reciprocated.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
Anything else with that point you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
All right, moving on.
Thank you for asking.
You are welcome. Number 2, prioritize quality time together. How do you prioritize quality time together if the other person doesn't want to, babe?
I'm going to read the Bible verse first.
She's going to do that.
So since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. Matthew 19:6. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, one example is, and I'm taking this just from a personal thing that I know about of a friend of mine, whereas she felt like, or she feels like her husband doesn't really spend a lot of time or something with her. And so let's just say on her birthday, somewhere special, she chooses to do something that her husband wants to do instead of something that she wants to do. On her birthday. Yeah. And so she chooses something that her husband would want to do, like go play basketball right? And so then she's like, I'm just going to go play basketball because that's what he wants to do. But that's actually prioritizing quality time over what you want to do because you're trying to be sacrificial and spend that one-on-one time together and all of those things.
Yeah, because it'd be like a hunting trip, right? Like, hey, I know you want to go on a hunting trip. You want to take me on a hunting trip. I want to take you on a hunting trip, which I don't hunt, so it's kind of a weird thing, but I want to take you on a hunting trip for your birthday.
Yes.
Right? We all know, we're not dumb, right? And your husband is not stupid. He knows. Unless you really do enjoy hunting, and that's very different. But let's just say Kristy doesn't and I do. Being a good spouse, though, is prioritizing and saying, okay, I'm going to utilize this time as quality time, even though I know the reason why he's doing this. Yeah. And that's hard.
Yeah, and that
feels very selfish.
It's super, super hard. But I do feel like you're sitting down, you're praying. No one's saying it's easy. And we're not talking about where there's been infidelity and you've decided already in your heart that you're getting a divorce or something, right?
Sure.
We're talking about where you and your spouse have drifted apart. Let's just say you guys have fallen into bad habits.
Roommate habits.
Yeah. And it's very hard to change those habits now. And you're picking up on it. You've tried to talk to your spouse about it. They're not budging, on it. They're not helping get out of the, unhealthy habits of just paying attention to each other. Right.
Yeah.
They're constantly maybe going out or working long hours or doing these things and you're feeling alone, but you still are like, no, I'm committed. I've been praying and I'm asking God to give me the stamina
that's good.
to do this for as long as it takes, because I believe that he's going to restore our marriage back to where my spouse and convict my spouse where they want to spend some quality time with me. And you could do things like get the Love Dare book, and you don't have to include your spouse in that, right? Like you can read things and then challenge yourself to do them, or watch the Fireproof movie yourself and challenge yourself to do the things.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, but you brought up the cell phone thing, right? So we go to sit down at night and we're in the same room.
We are.
But one person, or you guys are used to being on your phones at the same time all the time in a room, quiet, TV's on, but you're just sitting on your phones. Well, whether your spouse puts their phone down or not, you can still elect to say, you know what? I'm going to put my phone down. And I'm going to try and have a conversation with them, or I'm going to tell them like, hey, I'm putting my phone down. I really would like to watch this movie with you. Whether they do or don't do it, that's not the point. The point is you're electing to value quality time, and you're showing your spouse that it does matter to you. And I know how tiring, like these things are very tiring.
Well, I'm going to use us as an example. So I've actually been convicted about this. You don't know this because I haven't told you, but I'm
not putting my phone down. I'm just kidding.
Not last night, but the night before, I think it was Sunday night. I said, I really want to watch a movie together. And you came over and sat by me on the couch and we turned on Money Pit. Yeah. And the entire movie of Money Pit played. In the entire movie, him and I were both on our phones.
Right, sitting right next to each other.
Yeah,
we were.
Looking at TikToks.
And the funny thing is, I don't remember anything I looked at on my phone. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, I don't remember anything either.
I know.
And the whole, we didn't even realize what had happened until the movie was over. Like, credits are playing. And it's like, oh, I guess we're going to go to bed now. And that's unusual. That type is unusual for us. And I've really been convicted about that. Like, I feel like the cell phone habits for us in just society in general is getting worse. Like, we may be convicted and be better for a day or two.
Yeah.
But then it's like when we come back, it's like diets. It's like you do really well for 2 weeks. And then it's like, oh, I can have a cheat meal. And then that turns into cheat 3 months.
Right.
And then you do well again for like 2 weeks.
Cheat surfing, right?
Yeah. So I just feel
that's so true.
It's our cell phones or technology is getting, and a lot of couples, it's video games too. And it's not always the men. A lot of the times it's the men, but
you're right though.
Like playing video games all the time and not paying attention to their spouse. It's just, I really do feel like it's getting out of control. And I think it'd be okay for you. This is getting off topic, so I'm really sorry.
Just do your thing.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you. But if your spouse is doing this, I think it'd be good for, let's say you struggle with it. I know I struggle with it. So before Josh and I went on vacation, I struggle with working all the time. And even when I'm home, I'm not present. Like my brain is thinking about work and everything that I have going on a lot of the time. Not all the time, but I would say a lot of the time. And I'm not really fully being present. I'm not remembering conversations that we had and things like this. So let's say he's gotten frustrated and he's on his phone all the time because of that. I still then could set boundaries, which we did when we went on vacation. He said, hey, let's set a boundary right now where you could work for an hour in the morning and an hour at night, every day while we're on vacation. That way you don't feel like you have to sneak off and hide anything, but then you're present throughout the day for the family. And I think that is a viable thing to do in general. So even if your spouse, now you guys have gotten into this bad habit, and let's say he's on his phone all the time, I could tell myself I'm allowed to veg out and be on my phone for 1 hour at nighttime. And other than that, I'm putting my phone down, I'm setting it aside, and I'm going to try to engage with my spouse, talk with them, turn on a movie, get them to watch the same movie as me, all of these things without having a bitter heart or being angry or trying to start a fight about it.
That's the key.
But just set that boundary for yourself to try to start to be the example to change the habit in your relationship.
I don't think that's off topic at all. I think that's spot on. I think what you're doing is you're trying to create quality time with your partner. And you should see, I see people liking it already, liking the video because during this time, because it is a problem. Our cell phones are a problem, especially in our age group. Like our kids do not have nowhere near as big of a problem.
We don't.
We do, right?
But you had a good point about that.
What's that?
Do you remember what it was?
Today?
No.
No, I don't know.
When you guys have when you and I have talked about cell phones in the past, I believe it was you that told me that. And if it wasn't, then I'm giving you credit.
Well, I'm about to take credit, so I just want to hear what it is.
So it was our kids. They're in their 20s or a little younger teens. They've grown up with phones.
Yes.
So they've always had phones. So to them, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Our generation we had nothing. Right, we had landlines that you stretched the cord all throughout the house and everything.
You're not playing games on them, though.
No, you're not playing games on them.
Right.
And then it turned into pagers. Like we had pagers.
Yep, we did.
Right? And then you had Nextels, and you still weren't playing games or anything, but you could squawk
chirp, chirp.
people,
Yeah.
right?
Chirp, chirp.
But then all of a sudden, we get these, and this is new to us. Like this is fun. We have calculators, teachers that we can carry around all the time.
Right.
When we were in school, teachers like, you're not going to carry a calculator in your pocket,
right? Forever.
Like we have all those things, so it's new to us, and I think it's bad. Like, and for us, we're worse than our kids.
I would say the majority of people are. Tell us in the comments. Please tell us. Do you think that you're worse than your children when it comes to using your devices? Like, I think we're horrible at it. But with that, I think just using that one thing as an example of prioritizing your relationship as an individual, whether your spouse, whether it's your wife or your husband is on their phone all the time, take yours down, put it away, give yourself an hour.
But give yourself, a boundary.
Give yourself a boundary, right?
Yeah.
It's saying, hey, and then I'm going to engage. And I can tell you, your marriage has to be real bad for your spouse to just flat out ignore you. If you do this on a consistent time, with a good heart. And you said that earlier.
Yeah.
With a good heart and non-bitterness and say, hey, I really want to sit and let's watch a movie together. Do you mind doing that? And if they're like, no, I don't want to. Okay, great. Okay. I'm going to ask tomorrow, or I'm going to ask, every Wednesday or Friday or whatever. I just think it's important. I think prioritizing quality time always starts with one person.
Yeah, it does.
Right? We bounce back and forth all the time about date day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We bounce back and forth on those things. I think it's really, really important. I would say my 18-year-old is on it just as much. Yeah,
that's fair.
I don't. Maybe
ours isn't.
Ours isn't. He has a computer though, so maybe it's just different. I don't know. So all right, so that's number 2. Number 3.
I'm gonna see if I can see the comments, babe. Because remember how it doesn't usually show us on here.
All right, so number 3 is learning how to practice forgiveness and grace. Forgiveness and grace. But I would agree that you were saying about boundaries. So good, yeah. Boundaries. We have to learn our boundaries. Hang on, we're trying to catch up to all that stuff. It's a girl.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
You ready for the third point?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You kind of threw me off.
I was on my phone.
I know you were. I almost took it away from you.
I wanted to see it.
I know, but you can in a minute,
we can't see on this.
You can in a minute, though.
Okay.
Okay. So number 3 is practice forgiveness and grace. As hard as this is, especially as a person, when you feel like your partner is not participating in forgiveness and grace, ooh, man, this is hard to do.
Yeah, it is.
This is hard to do. Through grit teeth, through, I'm going to give you grace, even though you're a jerk, or you're edgy or you're not getting any sleep. How easy is it for you to deal with me when I'm hungry?
Not
easy. Can you imagine if you had to do that all the time?
No. How
hard it would be for you to just constantly give me grace?
You give me grace though. When I'm gonna take this a little off topic here, okay? Because us women, we get mad. I don't get mad, but a lot of women get mad if they're edgy or something, and their husband's like, "Are you on your period?" They're like, "Oh, yes, all this stuff."
I've never said that.
No, you haven't. But I say to you, if he's edgy or something, I say,
I'm on my period. No, okay. No, it's not true. She doesn't say that. She's a girl. Okay.
I say, have you eaten today? You don't get upset about that.
No.
You are like,
it's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I have eaten. Oh, okay. So you're just being sharp today. So then we have conversations about it though.
Yeah. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm not being sharp. No, I can play with these. It's not a phone. I'm playing with hair ties.
I know, but that's what I play with.
You can have one. I'll have
one. I have to have two.
No, you do like this. You wrap them around one finger. Like we're having. Okay.
But anyway,
right.
So I give him forgiveness and grace if he hasn't eaten, but he does not get offended when I ask him whether or not he's eaten, because I know my husband very well and he's never short with his words or impatient typically. And usually if he is, it's because he hasn't eaten. Yeah. Like he is a freak of nature with how much he can go for long periods of time without sleep and it not affecting him in a way that it affects me.
You can usually go a day without good sleep.
Yeah, one day. That's
you can't go a day with no sleep though.
If I go 2 nights in a row without sleep, I'm murdering people.
There's going to be blood for sure.
So
there's going to be blood for sure.
Be even-tempered, content with second place, quick to forgive an offense. Forgive as quickly and completely as the master forgave you. Colossians 3:13.
I want to repeat something in this Bible verse though that I think is absolutely critical to this.
Content with second place.
It is content with second place.
I guessed.
I was second place and I'm content. Just so we're all clear. That's how that all unraveled right there. She had to win, but I don't care. It's okay. And I think that's important, right? When we're talking about offering forgiveness and grace, it's about being second place, right? And sometimes in our marriage, when things are really struggling and stuff, we don't want to be second place. We're tired of being second place. But we have to think of ourselves as when one loses, we both lose.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that. I don't like that.
No, well, now you're in second place, and it's okay, right?
No, I don't like that portion of the verse.
I love that portion of the verse because it's so powerful.
But what do I say all the time? I say, if you're if you're keeping score, you're not on the same team.
Yes.
So if you're in second place, you're not on the same team.
Yes.
So you're both in first or you're both in second.
That's true. I think you took that from somebody.
No, that was me.
No, it was you. It was you. But it's important that we understand that if we think of ourselves in a relationship where we're both, put your phone down. If we're both, she's like, I'm just going to move away from you. But if we're in a relationship and you feel like you can't give grace or forgiveness to your partner, then there's probably something larger underlining that's going on. And I think it's really important to understand that. We should want to be second place in our relationship in all reality. Like fight for second place. Like I always want my wife to be in first place. I want her to win. I want to champion her at all costs. And to do that, I have to truly embrace forgiveness and grace in our relationship. Are you good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just wanted to be able to see if it was a private or if it was a person, and I can.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's point number 3. Point number 4 is you need to learn how to seek professional and spiritual guidance. You're going to have to learn how to seek professional and spiritual guidance.
Yes. So I think it's important to get comfortable with that too. So for lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors. Proverbs 11:14. Oh, and another verse I wanted to talk about too, up about the forgiveness is in Matthew. One of the prophets asked Jesus, how many times should I forgive? 7 times. And Jesus says, no, 70 times, 7 times. So I think it's important to remember that Jesus has called us to forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive, to be doing that. But for lack of guidance, a nation falls. So the Bible talks about this in many things too. Like they encourage us to seek wisdom from people that are older than us. The Bible encourages us to seek wisdom from people that are maybe more experienced in a situation. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're older than us. It means that maybe they're more experienced in dealing with the situation that we're in for a longer period of time. But that's why the Bible encourages us to be in a community. So if you're doing things to try to get your marriage back on track that your spouse isn't engaging with, I'm sure that there's some spiritual wisdom that you could gain from someone within your community of people that has dealt with it before, or maybe a success story that's like, yes, we used to be that way in our marriage and now we're not, and these are the things we did, or this is what I did. So I think it's important to not be scared to ask for the help. I think that's the whole point here. Like, this is asking for guidance and being vulnerable enough to say, hey, I want to make my marriage better. Yeah. And I'm looking for guidance to be able to do that.
And you have to be very careful when it comes to seeking guidance or some type of help, is that you're not looking for people to tell you what you want to hear. You're not looking for a group of people that are wanting to give your opinion out of their mouth, that you're looking at people that are really going to challenge you and saying, hey, we're not going to just stop pointing fingers at your spouse. Okay, let's talk about what you can do. What are the things that you can do spiritually? How can you grow through this? What are the areas of opportunity here that you can grow? These are the things that are really, really important, because I think people really miss the point of counseling, or the point of growth is that, marriage counseling is together. No, marriage counseling is two individuals growing together. And that's the hard part, right? A lot of times when you get into marriage counseling, it's like one spouse is looking for the counselor to be on their side, right? You need to see it from my side. You need to be on my side. You need to understand. And a lot of times what ends up happening, unfortunately, in a counseling session is the counselor or therapist will end up on one of the sides, and then the other person feels like they're being attacked, and then the counseling sessions are done. And then people say counseling doesn't work. You have to go in with the right attitude. You got to say, hey, I'm not here to change this person. I'm here to understand this person, and then for me to grow. And that's a very different thing, a different way of looking at it. That's why, this is such a powerful point. Spiritual guidance, just make sure you're finding people that's been where you've been and are in a better place than you are, and are not going to just tell you your opinion out of their mouth.
Yeah, I can use that as an example from my first marriage, right? Is that we went to get spiritual guidance from someone in my grandparents' church at the time. And so we start, and I was already done basically in my brain. And so, like any good counselor, they wanted to get to know each of us individually. Ladies first, started with me, asked me about my childhood and growing up and all these things, and just was asking clarifying questions like, do you think some of the things that are causing you to feel this way could be from past trauma in your life, Kristy, and all this stuff? And we left there, and I'm just like, I'm not going again, because he's basically gonna say that I'm screwed up, that I have trauma, I have daddy issues, and everything is my fault and not your fault. So I'm not going back, which that isn't 100% true. Like, they start with one person, get to know them, how they view the argument and things like that, or their marriage, what lens they view it through. And then they talk to the next person, and then they try to bridge the gap. But there is a lot of times where the spouses someone isn't willing to give it a chance. You hear that more often than not.
Yeah, I just talked to somebody the other day and said something about like, oh, have you been to marriage counseling? You need to go to marriage counseling. My spouse won't go. Okay, are you going to go to counseling then? Some kind of counseling? Like, marriage counseling is just individual help, but together. And that's the thing. You're missing the boat. A lot of times we're missing the boat on like, your relationship needs help. Okay, then you need help. My wife needs help because she keeps trying to take this thing out of my hand. She's being rude. I'm going to turn your phone off too.
It's mine.
It is hers, but what yours is mine, and that's ours. So we're having them together. I'll let you hold it, touch it, be by it. Okay. So seek professional and spiritual guidance. And it is an important step to finding your way in your own relationship, because one thing I heard a long time ago, and I believe this to play very, very true, is that one person can work on a marriage and make a marriage better. It definitely takes two people in a marriage to make a marriage great. But a lot of times what ends up happening is one person does not think that they can impact their marriage.
Yeah, it starts with one.
So they don't try.
Right.
They don't try, and they are not doing the things that they can do. You can't change your spouse. Don't expect to change your spouse. Expect to change you. And if you change, the way you view your marriage will change along the way. And I think that's so important.
And God will start to convict your spouse, you being obedient, doing the things that you do, and it will work out. I mean, do we really believe one person can change the world? If we believe that, you can change the trajectory of your marriage.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
You have to be consistent. You have to make positive changes. It's a lot of hard work to put in, but setting boundaries for yourself and doing the right things and putting the work in and going to get help and seeking guidance and doing all these things, practicing forgiveness and grace, it will have a positive impact on your
no matter
relationship.
What. Yeah. It will no matter what. No matter what your situation is, no matter what condition your relationship is in. You're welcome for your hair tie back. But no matter what condition it's in, it can change. It will change. But it starts with you, no matter what. And so be encouraged. So ways review. You want to review for us, love?
Yeah. Open and honest communication, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
The second point was prioritize quality time together. 3 was practice forgiveness and grace. 4 is seek professional and spiritual guidance.
That's right. So if you're looking to revive your marriage and you feel alone, know that there is power in growing in your individual self, and you can impact and influence your marriage in a positive way. It can happen.
She was saying possible. Her 18-year-old is a girl. That's what she was saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have a 19-year-old, but it's a boy. So
yeah.
And I think it is different. Like our oldest is a girl.
Mm-hmm. She's not on her phone hardly at all.
No, I know, but she's much older though too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like this weird age thing.
That's true.
That has to do with.
Because she's like 26.
That has to do with that. Yes, she's 26.
19.
And she has a baby now too, so it's really hard to be on your phone at all with a baby. Like, as we're closing this, I just want to end with this. Having Benny with us, 1.5 years old, is a pleasure. But I'm realizing like it's a pleasure for a few hours at a time. And I'm good with that. Like it's fun, right? I love it. Like he's hilarious. He's fun to be around. He's happy-go-lucky. He's awesome in the car. But at the same time, when he's ready to get fussy, there's not anything you can do about it. It's time for you to go home. Like it's time. Like it's time to go. And I think that's what's the greatest thing about being a grandparent.
Yeah, because you forget.
Because you're like,
you forget.
This one's yours. You can have this one back.
You forget how you even did it as a parent. Like, man, I had this 24/7.
No. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I'd have to give these children away.
Yeah.
Like, I need to have visiting rights of these children with somebody else because I can't do that.
I know.
No. I'm too old. I'm 48 years old. I can't handle that in my life. I don't know how these guys go and get remarried to younger women and have babies at like 50 and 60 and 70 years old. I'm like, you guys... not smart men. That's what I do know. I do come to that conclusion. All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight. If you haven't had an opportunity, please like, share, subscribe. If you haven't had an opportunity to do that, please, it does help us out on this. And we'll be here next week.
We will.
Right?
With bells on.
I'm not going to have any bells on.
And guess what?
Don't start talking about Christmas because that's where that was going. I know it.
Guess what? I'm going to start wearing Christmas sweaters.
No, she's not. I'm not till November.
Yeah.
Not till November. She bought a huge Frenchie thing for a blow-up thing that goes in our yard.
Frenchie, that's a Halloween decoration.
It's still
Thank
a decoration.
you.
It's about to go down. That's all I know. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Bye.